Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me once again is Alan Ohnsman, Forbes Senior Editor and author of the Current Climate newsletter. Alan, thanks so much for coming back on.
Hi, Brittany. Good to be with you.
You have some reporting on one of the first major roadblocks that Elon Musk has hit since his $1 trillion pay package was approved earlier this month, and I'm going to read your headline. You write that Elon Musk can't legally sell the Tesla Cybercab as promised. So obviously, my first question has to be, how did he promise to sell these Cybercabs? According to Elon Musk's vision here, what are some of the features?
Well, this has been an ongoing issue for over a year now. But earlier this month at the shareholders meeting on the November 6th, he kind of ticked off his future plans for the company, and he talked a lot about Optimus robots and AI, and he talked about Cybercab. And this vehicle has been out for a little while. They showed it off. It's been over, I guess, 1.5 years now, 2 years since it first debuted. It's a two-door model, and he has claimed from the beginning that this will only be sold as a fully autonomous vehicle with no steering wheel, no pedals, no mirrors, no standard controls, because it's going to be fully autonomous. There are two issues related to that. Number one, as we've talked about before, regardless of what he says, Tesla has not yet proven that it's capable of delivering a fully autonomous vehicle. It hasn't reached that yet with the technology that it's made available in the public. But the second issue is, if you want to sell a car like that doesn't have these conventional controls on them, well, it turns out there are actually some legal issues related to doing that, you can't just do that. And specifically, it's because of what's called Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, or FMVSS in the industry. And they explicitly require passenger vehicles to have all of the things he's saying are not going to be on this car, including also windshields and wipers, that car manufacturers have to have these things. So it is possible to get an exemption if you prove to NHTSA and you request and say, well, we have this technology, we don't need these things, and here's why. And we have seen the company Zoox, which has a purpose-built robotaxi that it's operating in Las Vegas and San Francisco currently. Zoox, that vehicle has no standard controls. There is no steering wheel, there are no mirrors, nothing like that. But Zoox has gone through the process of working with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration to get an exemption for that vehicle. Currently, they have a testing exemption, so they can operate it on public roads. And they can pick up passengers, but they can't charge yet. They are seeking a commercial exemption for that vehicle, and they believe they'll have it sometime in 2026, so they can begin charging for robotaxi rides. So when Elon talked about Tesla Cybercab, I thought, is Tesla, in communication with NHTSA about this vehicle, and are they seeking an exemption? And as it turns out, they are not. And so that's a bit of an issue, and that's where problems arise.
And you and I have talked time and time again about Elon Musk's penchant for over-promising and under-delivering. And when he laid out this vision of what he believed his Cybercab to be, how far is that right now from the reality of what it can be, especially because he didn't even apply for this exemption yet?
Well, number one, I don't think you would be planning to put in production. And by the way, he said this will be in production in April 2026. So, 5 to 6 months from now, they're in production. You would not make such a plan unless your technology was rock solid and bulletproof, that this works under all circumstances, no concerns, no issues. That is not the case with Tesla. He's been promising for several years now that Tesla will have a fully autonomous vehicle and will be operating robotaxis. That is not the case right now. In its current demonstration program, especially in Austin, but it's also got some vehicles operating in San Francisco. It's Tesla full self-driving, but there is a human backup in the front seat. If you're still using a human in the backup in the front seat, you're not ready to turn this thing over in the wild and sell it to someone. So it is hard to take seriously the timetable that he has laid out for this vehicle. That's simply on mastering the technology that you can actually deliver a safe, reliable, autonomous vehicle. The second issue is this simple regulatory one. If you want to do a non-standard vehicle like this, it's possible, but you need to, in advance of selling it, be in discussions with regulators and loop them in and make sure they know everything. And when I reached out to NHTSA to say, are they seeking an exemption? I was told very bluntly, no, they have not contacted us about this. So that's kind of hard to believe. Like, how can you be claiming you're putting this product into production very soon, in just months, and yet you're not talking to regulators? It's really unusual.
And could he potentially, because I'm not sure how these timetables work here. Let's say Elon Musk, he reads your piece. He's like, oh my God, I haven't reached out to the regulators. Let me call NHTSA today. Let's say he reached out to NHTSA today. And he got the ball rolling. How long does that process take? Could it be done before April when he wants these up and running by?
I suppose anything is possible, but using Zoox as the example that I mentioned earlier, Zoox has been in discussion for the last couple of years with NHTSA about this. So it's in their case. And by the way, Zoox was their safety program was created by a former NHTSA director, Mark Rosekind. After he left NHTSA, he was the top automotive safety regulator in the United States. He went to work for Zoox. So he did everything the right way, I guess, in their approach, which was, updating regulators with information, explaining their technology, kind of taking them through step by step. But that's been a long process. It didn't happen overnight. And that was with someone with real expertise, who knew the system. So is it possible that Elon could call up Sean Duffy at the Transportation Department or the head of NHTSA right now and say, hey, could you speed us through the approval process? Anything is possible. It just seems unlikely.
And when he was laying out the future of Tesla after he got his unprecedented historic pay package approved, I know he was talking a lot about AI, a lot about Optimus robots, and he was excited about those things. How central were cybercabs to his vision?
Well, I think it's, in one sense, very central because, Tesla is in this transitional period. And all the future businesses that he's talking about are AI powered. So an autonomous vehicle is a use of AI. It's a very specific use of AI. He wants not to really be, competing with BYD and General Motors and Toyota and Honda and other companies in selling individual vehicles that you simply drive, electric or otherwise. He really does want to move into this new space where the cars drive themselves. Cybercab, I guess, is supposed to be an autonomous vehicle you can actually purchase and own yourself, or perhaps you buy many and you operate a fleet of them and offer a rideshare service. But it ties into his future vision for the company on the autonomy side. But again, the company has not yet proven that they can equal a company like Waymo, for example, in the reliability of its autonomous driving technology. And Zoox, which is not far behind Waymo and which is coming to market, has also demonstrated for several years that it can operate these vehicles without humans behind the wheel. Tesla's not there yet, so that's an issue. Their AI driving system is not yet equal to what we're seeing with industry competitors.
So then if he can't sell the Cybercab as he promised, A, what's the future of the Cybercab? And B, what does that mean then for the future of Tesla?
Well, that's a great question. Robin Denham, the chair of Tesla's board, prior to the annual meeting, she was campaigning heavily for shareholders to approve Elon's $1 trillion stock comp package. When she was asked about Cybercab, because there have been general concerns from people saying, is Tesla really ready to sell such a vehicle? Like, technologically, is your autonomous driving system ready for this? She sort of waved off those concerns and she said, look, we can just sell this with a steering wheel and controls if we need to. So not a concern. That's an interesting statement, and some would agree. Okay, sure, it's a new product. That might be helpful. Tesla needs new product. It needs a hit. Hasn't had a hit in a long time, not since Model Y came out. But the catch is that the Cybercab is a two-door model, and Americans, at least, don't buy two-door cars anymore. That's not a popular product segment in the United States, and in many countries now. Small crossovers and in the U.S. pickup trucks, but SUVs and crossovers kind of like dominate, and everything's got at least four doors and a hatch in the back. A two-door model with these clamshell doors that kind of like slide up as you open is unusual, but two-door models aren't popular because they're often seen as impractical. People want to be able to haul multiple passengers. You want to take your family, your friends. The Cybercab, it looks like it only has two seats, and then it has a trunk in the back. But in that design, that configuration, it's not clear that even if it was sold just as a straight-up electric car, albeit one that's priced well below $30,000, that would generate a lot of additional sales for the company. So it's not the kind of product that market analysts look at and say, oh yeah, that's going to sell like crazy. It's more of a head scratcher, I think.
Alan, I have a question because, correct me if I'm wrong, this doesn't seem like it's some paperwork oversight of, oh, I just forgot to get this signed off here. It sounds like there was a vision laid out of a car that legally cannot be made yet. Who is at fault here? Is it Elon Musk for selling this vision that can't legally come true? Does Tesla have an in-house legal team? What does that really look like?
Oh, Tesla has lots of lawyers and engineers who know these things, people who work in the auto industry. It's not a mystery. This kind of stuff is really basic. FMVSS guidelines, every new product that comes to market, every new car or truck, the manufacturer knows what the rules are. And the rules require certain specific components. And again, you can go ahead and try to sell something without those components. But if it's something really exceptional, like no mirrors and no steering wheel, you want to make sure you've sought an exemption from NHTSA before you put that on the road. The United States, we have a self-certification system. So manufacturers tell the government, we've crash tested this, the vehicle's safe, it can do these things, and we certify that it complies with FMVSS rules, for example. So if you go ahead and don't comply with FMVSS and you haven't sought an exemption, you can try to sell the vehicle, but as soon as you do, you immediately expose the company to a lot of problems. NHTSA would probably launch an investigation immediately. They would ask for an exhaustive amount of data, engineering data, about your product, and they may say, you know what, we're not going to allow you to sell that for the time being as we're conducting this review, so you need to just park it. Well, that's a bad move if you're a company, because new models, it's hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that have gone into the development and the preparation and the assembly line. You want to be ready to sell as many as you possibly can. So you don't want to be told, nope, you're not allowed to sell this thing right now. Or, NHTSA could turn around and say, you know what, we don't think your vehicle is safe enough. You need to put a steering wheel in this and mirrors and all these other things. So now you have to retrofit it. So the whole thing doesn't make a lot of sense. It's known that this was coming. He claims it'll come in April. Perhaps there will be some acknowledgement of reality that they do need to do more work on the regulatory side and make sure that they have this approval. So it's not that the product may not ever come, but certainly the April timeline for production seems a little hard to believe.
You and I always go back to the bottom line for Tesla here, and I'm curious, when you're thinking about these cars, because you always say Tesla should just stick to the core businesses in order to make money, right? Charging stations, selling batteries, selling EVs. Was the Cybercab ever supposed to be a moneymaker?
That's a great question. I don't know. It looks very much like a product that Elon Musk likes a lot. He also liked Cybertruck a lot. And as we've seen, it has turned out to be one of the biggest flops in the market, given the amount of hype and expectation for how it would sell. And it sold very, very poorly. He thought it would do hundreds of thousands of units a year. Its first full year, it did about 50,000. It will do fewer this year. So his taste in new products maybe is not the best. Perhaps, the company needs a stronger team to come up with great new ideas for new products. Right now, the Chinese, frankly, are setting the pace globally in electric vehicles. BYD and Xiaomi and Xpeng and NIO and companies like that, they have come out with really exciting new products. When you see the interiors and all the tech and the big screens, and it's really futuristic kind of stuff. You don't see Tesla really keeping up with that. He believes that the secret is full autonomy, but again, as we've said, they're not there yet. Their system is not yet reliable enough. So it really seems like, it's not that they don't have lawyers and engineers who know these things, but he has, it's a vote of one basically at that company, and they do what he wants to do. But what he wants to do, and in this case, doesn't look like it's going to work.
Alan, I always think back to your reporting. It was either from Q1 or Q2, and the headline was, "Things are bad at Tesla now. They're going to get worse." But it seems like for Elon Musk specifically, things are good for him right now because he, a few weeks ago, had that $1 trillion pay package approved. I mean, when you're thinking about Elon Musk and Tesla and you're reporting on how this year just isn't great for the company, how exactly does this fit in? It seems like this fits in right on theme. And as we're about a month out from year end, what specifically are you looking out for next when it comes to Tesla?
Well, I still stand by that topic that things are bad at Tesla and they're going to get worse. But we're seeing a tale, it's a tale of two Teslas, basically. There is the real business, and then there is the hoped for future business. And in the market, Elon still has the ability to convince a lot of people that his vision of the future is going to be big and lucrative and huge, and so buy the stock. And so we have seen Tesla shares kind of shake off the reality of their business. Earnings are deteriorating. They did get a bump in Q3 in just vehicle sales because of the end of U.S. tax credits, but that was a one-off. Q4 is going to be down. They're going to end the year down once again, the second consecutive year of year-over-year declines in EV sales. And the problem is there are two issues: not enough fresh product, and then the brand image that is all Elon, because he's turned off a lot of people who don't want to be associated with the brand because they don't like him. So that's the reality of the business. Then there is this idea of Tesla's future of humanoid robots and robotaxis and AI features and all these amazing things we're going to do in the future. And a lot of people like that. So we are at this very strange kind of point where on one level, Q4, the financials will not be great. Going into next year, Q1 and Q2 of 2026, there's no indication it's going to be any better. We could see a third consecutive year of declining sales. That's, I don't know how you ignore that. That is, 98% of their revenue comes from cars, batteries, and charging revenue. And if those things, batteries are doing great. There is huge demand for stationary battery packs, both for residential solar, utilities, and even data center projects. So that's a great business. So battery is going to be fine. Charging service has been kind of weird because he fired everyone at one point in the charging group, and then he hired them back when this kind of acknowledgement. They're like, oh yeah, we can make money selling charging services because they have this very extensive EV charging network. So those two businesses are probably okay, but they don't generate as much revenue as the car business does. That is, the 800-pound gorilla in this company. And right now, it just, it ain't 800 pounds anymore. It's getting smaller and smaller by the month. And I think that's where the real concern is. And so when I look at this and I see him talking up something like Cybercab, I don't, I have real concerns. Like, I don't see, number one, technologically that you're able to do it. There is the legal issue, regulatory issue, whether you can do it. And then the third thing is, okay, even if your fallback plan B is, well, okay, we'll just sell it with a steering wheel and it'll be a low cost EV. Okay. But again, whether it's going to be the kind of volume generator you hope it will be, there's not a lot of evidence to prove that that's going to happen. And I'd like to throw in one more issue here, which is if they decide to really make a full court press to get NHTSA approval, Elon is Elon. His inability not to say things that most CEOs wouldn't say. He's mocked Sean Duffy, who is Secretary of Transportation, called him Sean Dummy and said he has a 2-digit IQ. He didn't like something that Duffy said about possibly giving a contract to Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin instead of SpaceX. Well, that's not a really wise thing to do if you need NHTSA approval, because NHTSA sits under the U.S. Department of Transportation, which reports up to Sean Duffy. So maybe the smart thing would be not to mock the transportation secretary and try to, build bridges and not offend people. So, you just see Elon being Elon. He doesn't do things and behave the way that other CEOs do. So I on the question of what am I looking for, I'm kind of curious at what point the market, stops believing everything is going to actually happen in the future that he talks about, and accepting that this is a company that, if it is pivoting, it's going to be a long, painful pivot, and the near term, there's going to be a lot of pain from, declining core businesses.
And speaking of bridges and potentially lighting them on fire, where does Elon Musk's relationship with Donald Trump stand? Could President Trump swoop in if needed? Would he want to? Are they friends? Are they even acquaintances? What does that relationship look like?
That's a great question, and I don't know that anyone is clear on that at the moment. They had this big public break some months ago. Musk tried to walk that back. He did. We're seeing the Jeffrey Epstein files coming out now. When he was on his break with Trump, he said, Trump's all over the Epstein files, which I don't know that that's that surprising, but he was clearly, he was burning bridges in that case. They went from being very close, and he had been so generous to Trump's campaign last year. He was running Doge. He was like the co-president at one point, it seemed. And then they had this break in the spring. Publicly, there's been no indication of exactly what the relationship is at this point. Probably Musk has been trying to get back in Trump's good graces with the recognition that it would be better to remain friendly toward Trump because of all of his businesses and how the federal government could affect what he wants to do. But we just don't know for sure. But yes, if Trump called up Sean Duffy and he said, green light, Tesla Cybercab, okay, maybe they would. And that could really grease the skids and things could go as planned. So anything is possible, I guess. But that's a big unknown. Publicly, I'm not even sure the last time Trump mentioned Musk. It's been a while since he's come up. He just hasn't been a focus. So perhaps no news is good news, that things are quieter and there's détente, but we'll see.
Well, a lot of unknowns here, but I appreciate you parsing through them and your reporting. Alan Ohnsman, thank you so much. I look forward to our next conversation.
Thanks, Brittany. Always fun to talk.